Yo, 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 what is up? We are back. This is No Border Sports with Waruna and No Crypto. Um, what up, Waruna?
Been kind of busy, the holidays, the usual stuff, kids getting sick. I mean, this fall is pretty bad on kids. I mean, this flu season, I mean, there are kind of multiple viruses going on, COVID, something called RSV, the regular flu. So it's been hectic health wise.
Well, I'm glad you guys are doing all right and, nobody's too sick. You know what I mean? That's just not
Yes.
something we want to hear. Shout out to Mariah for jumping in here earlier and saying what's up, telling everybody hit the like. We appreciate that. We got Jess from East Coast Red and Gold podcast. Um, she got a great crew over there. They do a great show. Go check it out. Mariah also does a great show. In fact, I was just on Twitter. She's giving away. Hold up. She's giving away one of my favorite cards. I got one of these from her. It's a see-through Elijah Mitchell. And if you watch her instant reaction after the game tomorrow, at some point she will give that away. I believe if Elijah Mitchell scores a touchdown. I think that was the thing, but that might be on the table. Uh, Also, let's go in here. I want to say what's up to Damian Lee. Nice to see you. Damian's always in the chat. And then we got Dawn. I don't know if you know Dawn from Niner Sicknesses podcast. She's always in there, but we have to watch our mouths while Dawn's in there because her young girls are in the room too. Um, yeah. Oh, we got David McNiner. What up? Uh, Always in the chat. Thank you guys for all tuning in. With that, Waruna, how about you kick us off?
Okay. I mean, lately we haven't been doing so. I mean, so many podcasts or shows, but glad to be back just before the playoffs. So incredible. I mean, that's the first thing that we have to say because 49ers are 3-4, and we were thinking like, okay, this is just another regular season. Regular season in the sense, uh, the defense bailing us out, the offense just dragging through the mud and everything. But this year it's been different for multiple reasons. But I think we have done so many good things as a team, well collective football team. So I think Ryan, before we talk about tomorrow's game, let's just do a quick recap on what happened so far the regular season. So
Okay.
first thing I would love to, I mean, like to discuss is what was the difference uh, of the 2022 team compared to 2021 team from the last year to this year? Yes, of course, they have three more victories in the regular season, but what has changed? Talk me through how do you see the differentiation between last year's team and this year's team?
So, oh, I hear an echo. Um,
I'll mute myself.
so the first part of the season kind of reminded me of a lot of the last part of season at times. Like it was, stagnant, getting wins. Those losses, I don't know how to explain those losses in the beginning of the year. I don't think we saw anything like that last year. It was really a weird type of situation. And then, we got the Christian McCaffrey trade, and that really jump started us to getting the offense being a little more four dimensional. Let's just say, I guess, because they're already I would say 3 dimensional. Well, no, I'd say they started becoming 3 dimensional. I think with Jimmy, it was probably about 2 dimensional. And then Jimmy went down, and Brock came in, and Brock, even though having almost the same stats as Jimmy, except I think a little better because he's got more touchdowns sooner. You know what I mean? He's really, averaging those 2 touchdowns a game has really helped this offense amazingly. So with the Christian McCaffrey being able to run for a touchdown every game, and Brock Purdy to be able to throw for 2 touchdowns every game, I mean, and the defense being able to hold offenses to, I think, an average of 19 points. So if you can average 3 touchdowns each game because of 2 players, and you can hold them to less than 3 touchdowns worth of points. I mean, you're without anybody else without anybody else getting a touchdown, which you've got other people who also can make plays. Elijah Mitchell, um, you know, Bro- uh, Kittle can take a 3-yard pass and turn it into a house call. Same thing with Brandon Ayuk. You know what I mean? So there's so many people that it's like I don't know. It now it seems like with the little bit of adjustment at quarterback with Brock Purdy, and I don't say it's like huge, but it's enough to push it over. You know what I mean? I think he's only averaging like maybe point 0.6 more touchdowns a game, but that makes it from a 1.5 to a 2. You know what I mean? It's huge. So
Yes.
yeah,
So the first thing, yes, the quarterback play has made a huge difference. I wouldn't worry about Brock Purdy's stats because the reason is Jimmy Garoppolo is a guy who throws this like check downs, dink and dunks. So he makes a lot of passes, completions. So without the context, you can't actually say, okay, Jimmy and Purdy has better, almost same stats because what I'm seeing from Purdy is like he's the guy who is driving down the field, get the he rarely misses open receivers. So that's a major difference I have seen from compared to last year to this year. Because if you remember that famous play last year against Tennessee Titans, Thursday night football, when Jimmy Garoppolo missed Kyle Juszczyk wide open for a touchdown. But Purdy doesn't do that. Now, the best indication is that the revival of George Kittle. I mean, this is I think, the best 5 or 6 stretch of games that George Kittle had after his big contract. I have never seen him play this well after he was made at the time the highest paid tight end in football. So that's just gives us an indication how good Purdy's
but
input is.
he's actually always had good stats with quarterbacks that aren't Jimmy Garoppolo.
Exactly, that's true. Yes. So now that's there, but I think that's the obvious part. But one thing that I really liked about this 49er team compared to last year, they have stayed disciplined throughout on multiple fronts. Let's start from the defensive backs. Last year, week 8, I think it was week 8 or 9, but at that time, 49ers conceded most penalties in NFL in defensive pass interference, right? Week 8, they were practicing basic defensive back skills, not to give pass interference. I mean, that's something you don't do in the middle of the season.
I
Usually,
totally
in the
forgot
middle of
about that.
Yes, so in the middle of the season, you try to craft your skills, fine tune them, not go back to basics. That's what they were doing. But this year, they have been excellent on that front, right? Even though we still have some mismatch with Leno and Hufanga time to time blowing up coverages, but still that's okay. Then the other thing is some even the individuals, Greenlow. Last year he had an issue. Even the very first couple of games he had this issue, giving away this roughing the passer penalties, unnecessary roughness penalties. But lately he haven't given those penalties. So he has played within himself, played really well, but disciplined. So even you're seeing the offensive line, they doesn't give too many holding penalties. Even Mike McGlinchey, he doesn't make too many mistakes. So I think that's a key difference. So the team playing to up to their potential, maybe more than that, but staying disciplined. Now, when it comes to coaching as well, that's what we are saying. Because if you remember the first quarter, the late first quarter when Purdy came in the Dolphins game, Kyle Shanahan was kind of like conservative. He was just trying to run the ball uh, in few plays, but then he was like, okay, if I have to play Brock Purdy, doesn't matter whether he has experience or not. I have to play him as a quarterback, and he basically started to call the plays as what he does with the usual quarterback. And I think The Purdy and Kyle Shanahan combination is the best QB combination that I have seen in his 6 years up to now. I mean, we wanted Trey Lance and Kyle Shanahan combination to be that good, but it never hit to that wavelength, the same wavelength. But I think these two are in the best wavelength, which I think almost similar to what Kyle Shanahan had with Matt Ryan in 2016. You have a quarterback. I mean, doesn't have a super athletic abilities, but I mean, Matt Ryan is a better quarterback, peak Matt Ryan, but still. So these two have a great combination. So I think those are the two key things I took out from last year. The quarterback play is obvious, but the team staying disciplined, not making too many mistakes, and their ability to bounce back. Because that's the other thing. That again comes to the quarterback play. Right. Even the Raiders game, right? Raiders scoring 34 points, fine. We can come back. So now we have a team that allows defense to make mistakes. Fine. Okay. You can have a bad day, but still the offense got their back. So up to these 6 years, the 49ers success has been their defense. Their identity was their defense, but now it's shifting to the other side of the football. I think probably if this works out within next couple of years, 49ers might be the next Kansas City Chiefs, offensive football team that doesn't depend on the defense to win football games. So I think that's the major differences I'm seeing from compared to last year to this year. So now, just thinking on that, now let's go further back. I was thinking about this. 2019, we had a team that went 13 and 3, went to the Super Bowl. But if you compare these two teams, what do you think? Do you think that 2022 49ers are better than 2019 49ers heading into the playoffs?
Yeah. Yes.
Why do you think so?
I think they're better in all areas. I mean, special teams, I think is better. A lot of people have kind of been him and Han, but we've gotten a couple of nice balls down on the the one or the two. You know what I mean? That's the stuff I like to see. Um, you see people like having to return a kick and not get it to the 25-yard line. You know what I mean? That's the stuff I want to see. Um, yeah, like they're doing everything. The secondary is better. Even though one of our best guys, well, two of our best guys are out. You know what I mean? Um, I don't think Javarius Ward is as good as Mooney. I mean, it's just I think it's just it. But he's doing great over there, and Demo is doing what he needs to do. I think he's doing the best he can, and he just needs to keep being consistent and not let the moment be too big for him, and he'll be fine. We figured out how to get down the road with this with him learning and getting better. So why couldn't we do that in the playoffs? You know what I mean? I know people are going to be going after him, but if that's the case, then we know where the ball's going, right? So let's do something about it. You know what I mean? If they're going to go all after Demo, well, not everybody's going after Demo. Some people are picking Ufunga to try and get their moves. But I think Demo is going to be the one they really need to focus on, and I think he's going to handle it. I really need to see the defensive line. Um, some of the guys who everybody except for Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead, I need them to play out of their mind and step their level up to an Eric Armstead, and we need Jordan Willis to be firing like he was last year in the playoffs. You know what I mean? We need to figure out how to get some big guys back in the center. You know what I mean? Javon Kinlaw, he needs to get better. Whether it's this cold, it's messing with him. Because, hey, you know what I mean? Like I've had colds that make me weak, and I can't do things that I used to. And you're talking about playing football, which you need to be at 100%, or you're at a detriment to yourself. Uh, if you're not firing on all cylinders, you can get hurt out there. You know what I mean? So like we need to see the guys step it up if we want to really get to the end, which I think we will, and I think we'll go over that here in a second. Oh, just
Yeah.
to let you know, I got the good and the bad, the ugly title. So when you want to do that, just let me know. I'll get that going.
Yeah. So, I mean, now, yes, comparing to 2019, 2022, I also do
What
think
up, baller? Eric
a
in the house. Everybody, they've got a show on Monday nights. Um, it's straight out of the Bay. I believe they rotate the channel. I believe it's Celts, Baller, Amin the Dream, and there's somebody else that I'm
Jay in the
forgetting, and I
Bay.
feel horrible. Jay in the Bay. Yep. And Jay in the Bay. Go check them out Monday nights. I think it's at like 8 or 8:15.
So, coming
Oh,
back to, yeah.
Silverado
Hey,
Kev.
yes, everyone.
Let's get this dub
Um,
tomorrow, he says.
yes. So, coming back to our topic, 2019 versus 2022. I think 2022 is a collective football team, yes, thanks to improved quarterback play. Uh, and I think they have learned from their mistakes too, because I mean, 2022, we were surprised when Richard Sherman got burnt in the Super Bowl, right? So we had no idea that he would have a bad game in the biggest game of the season. But right now, I think 49ers know what their strengths as well as the weaknesses are. And they are better prepared for it. So I think even for the tomorrow's game, the weather can be a game changer. I think it can play to the advantage of Seattle, but still, this team has multiple players. It doesn't depend on a single player to carry them through. Especially, I mean, given the fact, for example, last year, what the season that Debo had, he has. I mean, to be honest, he has regressed, or he did not come up with the same level of production like last year. But still, 49ers are winning. They can win without. Uh, I mean, you can't win without multiple key players, but still they can win without some of the players, key players. So they have much more flexibility, fluidity. So that's the good thing about 2022 49ers. And I think defensively, strategical, Demico Ryans to me is better than Robert Sala. The 2019 Robert Sala, that was his best year as a defensive coordinator with the 49ers. I mean, given the fact that he had all these starters and everything, healthy rosters, so on and so forth. But this year, it's much better team with Demico Ryans as the boss, as the uh, defensive coordinator. So, what do you think about that, Ryan, in terms of the differences between that team and the defensive effort, the coaching?
You think there's a difference in that? Ah,
So basically, I feel it's much more improved unit because of the
I,
defensive coordinator. I think Demico Rance has done a better job compared to Robert Sala. The 2019 Robert Sala versus 2022 Demico Rance. I will pick 2022 Demico Rance.
I would say that's true. And I would say that Kyle and his play calling has gotten better with the addition of Brock Purdy starting.
Yes.
And also with CMC, because you see him start using people as a decoy now, which I thought you should have done the whole time. When, like you were talking about Debo not performing the same way, I think he's a little too heavy. Where he's not as quick when he needs to be as deadly as he was last year. And I think he did that so he could sustain more time going up the middle. And it just, what a bad idea. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't seem like it worked out well. So I don't really hold Debo accountable. But what you can do is when Debo's got all that attention and he can't really, be the same Debo he was last year because of the workout regimen I think that he took, and putting on more muscle. I think you use him as a decoy, and he didn't. He just threw the ball to him and let him take all those hits, and try to work. so hard for 5 yards. You know what I mean? Like every once in a while it paid off, but I don't think the risk to reward ratio was ever right this season the way he used Debo.
Yeah. So
So
that's another topic I wanted to just bring on later. So let's jump into that. I mean, there were multiple players that I was thinking about this team, especially this season, kind of didn't meet the expectations. For example, I'll start with Trey Lance because not his fault, but he got injured. So that was not the expectation at the beginning of the season because we were expecting him to be play, develop throughout the season, learn, so on and so forth. So that just went down the drain. There was another player. I mean, Kinlaw is another player, but Debo now La- last year what he had the season, I don't think it's hard to repeat that because in NFL you can't repeat that kind of a season because that was one of the magical seasons that any player can have. Right now, I'm just thinking about when you have a player like Christian McCaffrey who can be in the backfield, who can be a slot receiver, so on and so forth. When you have with quarterback play, you have George Kittle who is giving you more production. Brandon Ayuk had a fantastic year. He's much better disciplined. His route running, his footwork, it's great. So when everything is combined, what do you think about Debo Samuel's future in this team? Because he's paid. Uh, I mean, he's higher. He's a higher paid player than Christian McCaffrey, but this year he doesn't have the same output, and he doesn't need to be that wide back anymore to carry this team through. So right now what 49ers need to meet, and for example, I think 49ers need is a true wide receiver who can go down the field, so and
Brandon
so
Ayuk,
forth. So, yes, if we have another wide receiver to complement with Brandon Ayuk, I think it could be much explosive of it. So in that sense, do you think that I'm not suggesting that we should trade Debo Samuel or something, but do you see his style of play, what he used to do with 49ers, has future
yes.
in coming
You
years?
you saw the Kansas City Chiefs use it to beat us earlier this season. What's his
Okay,
name? I can't remember, but they used him just like Debo, and they gashed us
Jerick
for it. We
McKinnon.
couldn't. Yeah, we couldn't stop him. Yes, there is a role for people like Debo. Um, I think I think the best strategy is depending on their body type. It's where they see the ball in those situations. You know what I mean? Like you don't want a Debo who is perfect when he's lining up in the slot. You know what I mean? Just perfect, or he's perfect for that. And then now he's beefed up to try and be more like a running back and go in between the tackles, and it slowed him down. He can't shake people as much. Also, people are straight gunning for him too. So I don't know if it's 100% him being slow or him being a little bit slower and there be always, like 2 to 3 set of eyes on him all the time. You know what I mean? So, oh, Damien says, no, Waruna Debo can't sustain that style of play. The way they play will last the duration of his remaining contract. Um, and I don't think we could even trade Debo at this point with how he looked this year. So I think it's in Debo and the 49ers' best interest to have him kind of slim back down, get him to the old Debo. You know what I mean? Like it makes nothing but perfect. You don't need him anymore. Like
So one question,
in
I
that
mean, just
role.
to counter argument, I mean, if you take Brandon Ayuk, the way the level of high level that he's playing right now, do you think Depot can be a good route runner as Ayuk as well as the footwork? Because to me, right now, Brandon Ayuk is the best wide receiver, the best wide receiver in the team. Because I saw some of
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk's footwork that defensive players had no clue. They were like,
Didn't you
"What the
see
hell
him
is?"
make Jalen Ramsey look silly?
Yes.
He broke
So
him down.
yes. So Depot doesn't have that. So my question is, so moving forward, does Depot have enough input or production for this team that is going to worth his contract. Nothing against him, but end of the day, we have to think about the food. I mean, the business level. Okay, does this player give enough output for what we are paying him?
So he's
That's the
saying
question.
Ayuk's the number one, and hopefully Danny Gray's the number two. It and to answer your question, Waruna, it all goes back to whether he's going to get back to being able to play that style of football, whatever it is. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Do you have to distract him with Brandon Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey to now get Debo out? You know what I mean? Do you have to feed CMC and Ayuk to make it so they have to respect both of them, and now they can't concentrate on Debo? Whatever it is, if you're going to have him on the team, you got to figure it out. And I think that he would be the casualty, and that Kyle would rather keep Brandon Ayuk over Debo Samuel, just for the fact that if Brandon Ayuk goes, you don't have a true wide receiver at this moment.
yes,
You know what I mean? And a true wide receiver like Brandon Ayuk is something you don't just want to laugh in the face of.
yeah,
And not to say, no disrespect on Debo, but
exactly.
you've got other X factors on the team. You know what I mean? You've
Yes,
got, and I'm not saying they're as good as Debo, but if you need somebody to, make a move or this, like Christian McCaffrey can split out as a wide receiver. You know what I mean?
yes,
You've got Juice. You know what I mean? You've got talented people who can fit roles. They might not be the best wide receiver as a Debo Samuel or like, well, look at CMC. You put him out as a wide receiver, he can run routes, and he's got the same type of field vision and the moves. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's on the same level. This is that. I'm not comparing him. Say who's better. I'm just saying in the same ballpark, they got the same shimmy. They got the same shimmy and shake, bro. You know what I mean?
yes. Yes, that's true. So I think that's where I think we both coming into basically we love Debo, we loved what he did last season, but moving forward, sometimes it would be just the business decisions that because the dynamic, the context, the dynamics, the situation has changed from last year to this year because this team is moving towards, as I said earlier, this team is moving towards a different direction from their defensive identity to the offensive side of the football. So that changes
And,
the narrative and stuff.
wait, I just want to make this clear. This is not my personal beliefs. It's just what I see happening maybe in the future. You know what I mean? I love for Debo, Brandon Ayuk. I'd love for all our guys to remain 49ers forever, but we know that's not always a thing. And I
Yes.
think that, just understanding it could be an option is always good to keep in the back of the mind so you're not so shocked about things when it happens. And I hope they don't. And I don't think if they were going to trade Debo, they'd trade Debo to some crap team. You know what I mean? I'm sure they would, they have respect for him and they want him to do well. And they would make sure that they wouldn't trade him to the Commanders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They wouldn't trade him to the Cowboys. They'd make sure he had a good chance because I think they respect him, and I hope they do it because Debo deserves it. He helped build this team with sacrifices to his body, and he deserves it.
So now, again, before we talk about tomorrow's game, in 2022, in your view, who gained the most in this season? So I'll go first, just to explain why I think about this. So the person who gained the most in this year, in 2022, is not a player, coach, Kyle Shanahan, to me. So let me explain why I think he gained the most. Because finally, he was able to break the myth
Bye,
that.
Don. Take it easy.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you for joining in. So, Kyle Shanahan was finally able to break the myth that he can only win with Jimmy Garoppolo. It changed. Yes, only 6 games that Brock Purdy played, but that whole narrative has changed. Now, fine, because end of the day, even an average coach can be a Super Bowl winner or looks like a great coach because if you have a great quarterback. For example, Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl, right? I mean, Matt LaFleur, he's still young, but he won 39 regular season games during his. Hi, Kim. So he won 39 regular season games in his first 3 years thanks to Aaron Rodgers. So, end of the day, whether we like it or not, a great coach is always combined with a very good quarterback or great quarterback. So finally, after 6 years, Kyle Shanahan has found. We don't know where will Brock Purdy end as a quarterback, how good he can be. But right now, he is a quarterback that is more than enough for the Kyle Shanahan's offense because you have the players. He is not just executing it. He's he's a he's adding value to that offense. So I think Kyle Shanahan is the guy, the person who gained most during this season because finally people will see, okay, he's a good coach given that he has a quarterback who is more than serviceable. So I think he's the basically Kyle Shanahan is the winner of this 2022 season because he gained the most. As a coach, he has cemented his place and he showed to the rest of the NFL that he can win without Jimmy Garoppolo. He just need a good quarterback so he can be as good as whoever the top coaches in the game. So who is your pick?
Um, I gotta say it's Hufunga.
Okay.
Also, real quick, I think what Damien says here is probably 100% spot on if Debo gets traded. AFC team, it keeps him, he goes over, he's with family, you know what I mean? He's got a good offensive, mind that knows how to use them type thing. Um, yeah, I see this 100%. But yeah, I think it's Hufunga. Even though he's had his issues, he has stepped up and he's played amazing at times. And other times we've had issues, and that's him needing to learn. And we'll see how well it paid off. But I think he made, well, you could say Aaron Banks, you could say Burford, and you could also say, what's his name? The center, Burford, right? No.
Uh,
Um, I'm drawing a blank on his name. The center.
Center was Jake Brendan.
Brenda. Yes.
Yes.
So think about that. A guy who had never really been a starter, all of a sudden now he's the starting center on one of the toughest offense in the league, and they're having a great season and going into the off season or the postseason. Like that's crazy.
Yes.
Oh, Jen is in here. Hey Jen, I think this is the first time you're Jen Muir. I actually was a John Muir Ranger when I was a kid, the guy who founded Yosemite. Um, well, hey, good luck. Good luck on that game. I think you're going to need it, but hey, best to you. I want to say what's up to Not Your Average Sports Kid. I haven't seen you. I was just thinking about you today. I saw a clip about South Carolina, and I was like, has that sports kid been? I'm glad you're doing okay, bruh. Or I'm glad you're out there. I hope you're doing okay. Hit me up, bruh. And then E Kim coming through, trying to save the day there. Thank you, E Kim, keeping us on point. But yeah, maybe I'll take out Hufunga and I'll say those three interior linemen
Okay.
because pick one of them. It's a great story. You know what I mean? Pick any one of them. Even Burford having to be rotated out with Brunskill a little bit. He's in there half the time, anyways. You know what I mean? And for them two to be able to rotate and not really have this fall off and what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which makes me feel weird about what they said last year about Aaron Banks, that he was ready, but they didn't want to mess up the unity in the line or this and that. And it's like, well, you're doing it right now.
Yeah.
Like, and the other thing that's weird too is like, me personally, I don't want to play my backup center. So I'm not trying to play Brunskill at all whatsoever, really, in my mind, because I want my backup center crisp for when my center goes down. I don't want my backup center to be injured at guard and then my center to go down. Because where am I at? You know what? I'm screwed. So
So those are
yeah,
the players that you think gain the most. Yes. So other than that, I mean, just off the topic, I just realized now we talked about Debo briefly, uh, whether he is going to make an impact, whether he has a place in this team moving forward. I mean, think about this. If we talked about this probably mid-season or at the beginning of the season, people would be mad at us, right? Right now, I mean, people are like, okay, oh yeah, makes sense. We have to think about it. Look how the difference Brock Purdy has made, because once Brock Purdy is in, the Christian McCaffrey is in the team, the offense has changed. It's executing better, and right now even we don't have to worry about individual players. We know, okay, if that player is missing, yes, that would be a big loss for the team, but we have other ways to overcome. So I think that's one of the overall, I think that's the best game 49ers got during this season, where they don't have to depend on too many individual players. Yes, you have to in a certain context, but overall they have collectively better unit that they can afford to lose players for, let's say, some games, or move in a different direction. So this team is much more flexible in terms of that. So that's something I realized while we were on the discussion. So I really like that part. For a good team, sports team, you need to always have that flexibility. You can't depend on, I mean, individual players too much. So that's a good thing. We are moving towards.
yeah.
Okay. So now we talked about, I mean, last year's, I mean, this season. So let's do the good, bad, and ugly. The good, bad, and ugly. The 49ers regular season. So I wrote an article about, I wrote an
What
article.
once hold up, give me 1 second. We
Okay.
we got we got something for that. We're
So the good, bad, and ugly, the 49ers regular season. So I'll start with the good. The best thing is obviously 49ers finally having some stability at the quarterback position. So that's a good part for me. I mean,
wait,
finally,
wait, wait. You kind of have to define that a little better. Stability. We've gone through three quarterbacks.
yeah. But finally, we have found the guy. Finally, we have found the guy that we can build on. I mean, it would be it would be a different discussion that we can think through. But personally, I believe at this moment, Purdy has done enough to win the starting job next year. I I wonder that Trey Lance has already played his final game for the 49ers. So that's where I'm coming from. That's a different discussion for a separate day, probably for the
And
off season. We can save
and
it.
I want to have that one because
Yes, let's have that
you've
one.
been you're very opinionated and you've kind of been silent on that to me, and I've been like, man, I wonder what Waruna's
Yeah,
thinking through all this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes. So that's why I think that's a good Brock Purdy finally coming through. So now we have a quarterback that we think that who can extend this offense. The bad, I would pick the regression of Debo Samuel. So because it's unfair, but if you think through his stats, he this is his worst year in terms of total yards per touch. As far as I remember, last year he had like 14.3 something yards per touch, but this year he only has like 8.8 something. This is, out of his 4 years, this is his like still he had total yards. I think I can't remember exactly, somewhere around 700 or something. Last year he had 1400 or something. But compared to the impact, even the eye test, what we saw the last year's Debo was this year, there was a regression. So that's a bad part. Uh, Maybe he can get over it. We never know. The ugliest part, again, for me, the aftermath of Trey Lance injury, how the team treated it, the Mike Silver's article, the backstabbing, so on and so forth. I hope that's why I feel like, coming back to that Trey Lance topic, he better go to a team that truly needs to develop him and see him as the only option at the quarterback. Because this team was like, okay, we want Trey Lance, but still we have Jimmy, so on and so forth. It was so chaotic, too much drama. So I think for to kickstart his career, he needs some fresh start. I don't know what will happen in 2023. So that's my ugliest part of the 2022 season. So it's over to you. So, what is your the good, bad, and ugly?
Well, I got to say the Christian McCaffrey trade. Oh, I hear big echo. Uh, I hear a Christian McCaffrey trade. I want to say is the good. Um, I think that's self-explanatory. I mean, he helps that offense out so much within the running game and the passing game that it's just it. Like everybody I've spoke with about that pretty much said that that was unfair. And now people are like, man, that Brock Purdy. But um, the bad, um, the bad is the defense starting to slip away a little bit. Certain things are coming out of grass, and I don't think we have a potent enough offense to deal with a defense that can't um, shut shut a team down, not out, but shut them down. You know what I mean? When you need to. And if they've got our number, I think that's what's going to bad. And I think the ugly was the whole Trey Lance situation, and that I think the ugliest part of it was the offensive scheme. I mean the scheme of the game when Trey was in. I didn't like it. Um, and I just want to speak on the Brock Purdy being a starter thing and the Trey Lance and all this and him needing a new start. I don't know if that's true. Um, Brock Purdy is got certain things in his tool belt that are helping the team right now. He's very good at making decisions and making reads and all that good stuff. Okay, he pushes things. He'll get better and stronger with that arm as time goes on. I'm pretty sure because he actually, puts in work and time to it. But um, I think, I think Trey Lance has seen what the team needs now, and now he knows where to emphasize all his his brain power essentially. You know what I mean? Like he knows where to 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 focus now because he sees what's really helped the team. It wasn't necessarily the deep ball. It's what you can do within the system before you throw the deep ball that can really make this offense nasty. And I think he might he might not be able to get to that level by training camp. I think there's going to be a competition. Who knows who wins? I'm not putting in my 2 cents on that. I think that's silly. But I think I think Brock Purdy is here as far as game decision and all this, and then and Trey Lance is here. But when it comes to arm strength, it's here. Brock Purdy can't jump up this quick with arm strength. Trey Lance has already got that. Trey Lance just needs to come up here, and he might only need to meet halfway to where it opens up enough of that small game to make it where that long game totally makes the shortcoming in the short game I and that could be done if Trey has to sit another year and play as the backup quarterback to this good defense, like Brock Purdy did, then what, beat him the next year? You know what I mean? Like, I don't, they're on rookie contracts, this and that. I just think we're lucky to have both of them in the room, and I don't think we should give up on anyone and trade them yet. Um, and I wouldn't trade Trey Lance to a shit team. Also, that's another thing I don't want to see. Just like with Debo, I don't want to see if Trey Lance, which I don't want to see happen, but if it were to happen, he was to get traded, I don't want to see him go to a bad team whatsoever. Well, a team that's a bad situation. You know what I mean? Whether it's management, whether it's coaching, this and that. I want a place where it's on the up, at least on the rise, and he's got somebody who will uh, give him the time and attention that he needs.
Yeah. Many things can happen during the off season, but as I said, let's save that freelance discussion for later. So other thing is, I mean, we talked about the regular season, comparing this team, so on and so forth. So let's jump into tomorrow's game. So uh,
Did you see this?
okay, let's read the comments. So I think a QB and a weapon needs to be traded. QB is self-explanatory, but there are too many weapons on this team that someone is not going to be happy with their usage. True.
I I'm I'm not saying he's 100% right with that. I'm just saying that that could be true at some point. But it seems like a lot of these guys, well, except for Kittle kind of going for that one pass and cutting off Ray Ray. Um, but when it comes down to it, I'd rather have Kittle catching it than Ray Ray. And you know what I mean? I can't remember who said that. And when they said it, I was like, yeah, they're 100% right with that.
So, okay. So let's jump into tomorrow's game. The weather is a big factor. I think Pete Carroll, he was playing mind games because he was saying, like, unfortunately, we have to play 49ers. I think Richard Sherman tweeted out saying, I mean, what do you call it? Pete Carroll never walks into a game saying that we are going to lose this because he is playing mind game. I mean, one of the best coaches in the history of NFL. So he, not just in NFL, college coaches. So what do you think, Ryan? So this game, the weather is a worry, but other than that, what are the odds that Seattle beating 49ers? Because it's hard to see so many things that they can do, but only thing that I think, if Pete Carroll, what do you call, the pull some rabbits out of the hats. I mean, if you remember last year,
there,
uh,
there's going
punt.
to be some rabbits.
Yes, the punt. They were about to punt, and they passed for a touchdown, untouched touchdown. So even again, the first play, I mean, the last game, Arizona Cardinals, they did a trick play. So I think there should be some trick plays, offensive turnovers, defensive mistakes, so on and so forth. But where do you think that Seattle can beat 49ers if they are to win this game?
I think if the rain causes issues in the offense and causes them to kind of get defeated, I think that's the only way because I think they have a the Seahawks have a good blossoming defense. Um, I wouldn't say they're great, um, but I think in the next couple years their defense might be talked about like our Niners defense was this year. Maybe it could be next year, it could be the year after that. But if they put together a group of young men this year that are playing like vets, and if they draft well again, and that's why I say 2 years because I think they need two. If you're going between the offense and defense, and trying to get pieces, you probably need about 3 years altogether to really draft a good defense. But yeah, like I said, So I think the matchup of their defense against our offense is going to be the real the real knuckle busting part of the game. I think our defense against their offense should win out, but at the same time, they have big capability. So, like you were saying, watch out for the trick plays. Watch out on all the kicks. Okay, I don't trust these guys on a kick for nothing. Um, and they are going to try and go down the field deep on you with a couple of their guys. And that just always know that. And always like Hufanga can't be looking in the backfield here. He needs to be making sure nobody's getting deeper than him. But yeah, I don't think this is I'm I'm pretty sure I'm going down tomorrow to put a bet on the game, and I'm betting uh, that the 49ers don't make the spread, which is like 10.5, I think it is, because I think it's going to be a close game. I think
Yes,
it's going to be within four. I don't think it's going to be, I just have a feeling it's just going to be one of those games, and rightly so. I mean, the Seahawks are, they they put in their time this year, and they're not trying to be a stepping stone for anybody. You know what I mean? And I
yes,
wouldn't expect anything less from them. You know what I mean? Like if we were in their situation, we wouldn't be like, I want to be a stepping stone. We got no punk those guys. Let's doesn't matter if we make to the next, past the next round. We need to at least beat these guys. You know what I mean? So the only good thing is it's in Santa Clara.
yes,
That's the one thing that's actually probably the best thing. Um, the weather up here is probably better. I haven't seen the forecast, but it wasn't raining real tough today. But that could be different in Seattle. It's kind of like Seattle and San Francisco are cities that are they're sister cities. They've been called that. It's totally true. If you've ever seen San Francisco and Seattle on an overcast day, you're like, like in between the buildings, you can't really tell where you're at.
yes,
And then on the days when the sun's out, you are just in awe when you're looking over the water. You know what I mean? It's the same thing in San Francisco. It's just beautiful. And then you can see, the the peninsula, and you can see the island. It's just gorgeous. Uh, but yeah, we're lucky. We're lucky it's at home. I think we're good to go. I just don't think we're going to score as many points unless like defensively and offensively we break their morale. You know what I mean? And then we can take advantage of them. And that that is a scenario, but I don't think it's the case. I think Pete's got those guys coached well, and they believe in themselves. And you shouldn't underestimate any player that believes in themselves.
yeah. Yes, so I also think yes, the game will be close, but I think the thing I personally do want is the 49ers to come out of this game with a victory. Doesn't matter what is the scoreline, whether it's a last minute field goal, extra time, doesn't matter, but come up with a win, and most importantly, keep their roster healthy, because that's one of the things that have worked for us this season. Because if you compare a team like Tennessee Titans, they are the most injured team in last two seasons. So and that's why I mean they slipped during the playoffs last year as well. So but 49ers have been lucky this year, not too many injury scares, so we are relatively healthy. So that's what I want, because probably divisional round, it's going to be an even matchup. Even though we have a defense, we all know we have defensive backfields issues that a good quarterback and a good wide receivers, couple of wide receivers can exploit. So that will be there. So I think this is a game that they need to come up, win it with using the minimum of their energy. So that I mean, end of the day, they will go hard, but at the same time, they should. I mean, without if they can come up without too much injury worries, that would be fine. Um, and so other than that, so What do you think? I mean, now the team is heading to a playoffs with Kyle Shanahan's tenure as a head coach. This is the first time he has back-to-back winning seasons going into the playoffs. So, uh, what would be the ultimatum for this season? Do you think it's Super Bowl or bust, or are you still satisfied with the progress that we have made with the young quarterbacks? And are you just expecting whatever comes will be good?
Um, in the back of my mind, I'd always want the Super Bowl. So to say it's not Super Bowl or bust, I'd be lying. But if we were to lose, I, depending on how you're losing, I think I think it all depends on how I'd feel about it. You know what I mean? If I don't know, if we lost because Brock Purdy didn't crumble, or something like that, or I don't know, somebody made a stupid penalty in a key thing that gave somebody a first down and then they scored. You know what I mean? That's something that would upset me, because it's like the play on the field had nothing to do with it. It was the attitude after the whistle that caused it, or so. It's those type of things that. But I don't see us really making those plays. I see a lot of teams get mad at us, and we don't really retaliate back, because it's kind of like, we know we get to bully you again next snap. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
you're gonna get so mad that they're gonna throw the flag on you. So it seems like everybody understands that, and that's how they play. So it is Super Bowl or bust. But like, if there's something that I can understand, you know what I mean? Like, Brock Purdy just didn't have it in him at a certain time. I'd be like, hey, he's a rookie. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just be like, he's not Jimmy. Not Jimmy just ducking that, throwing that ball up as a duck, essentially, when there was a receiver that could have just won us the game right then and there. So that's how I feel. That's Yeah.
Okay, I
What about
think
you?
that's probably the end of our discussion for today. So,
Oh, hold on. Let's talk about the games. What do you think about
okay,
the other games, real
other
quick? Because
games,
that's kind
very
of
quick.
that's what I thought we were doing the show on. Um,
Okay.
so who do you got against the San Diego Chargers or the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I would pick Jaguars.
Oh, okay. That's Waruna's right there. Okay, Ravens versus Bengals.
Bengals.
Okay, I got the Bengals too. All right. Bills versus Miami.
Bills.
Bills, me too. And then Dallas versus Tampa.
Tampa.
Yeah, me too. Um, Minnesota versus New York.
That's the that's the most difficult one to pick
Really?
because yes, because Vikings, they can crumble. I mean, they have everything to win a game. I think they can defeat. I mean, people call them frauds, so on and so forth. But still, at the same time, I think Vikings are one team that can even beat 49ers. But at the same time, they can be super ugly on a given day. I would pick Giants.
Okay. And then I'm guessing you got the 49ers against the Seahawks.
Yes.
You got a score prediction?
Uh, I would say it would be kind of a 27-13 kind of a game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I went 27-24. I think that's what I picked.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But with that, I want to thank everybody who came in. Hold on, I gotta eat. Kim, thank you for joining us. Seen you in a minute. Glad you stopped in. Mariah, thank you. Check out their show on Thursdays at 4:20 in the afternoon. David McNiner, Damian Lee, Not Your Average Sports Kid, Jess from 49ers, 49ers 49er Gold Podcast Oh man, I messed it up. Sorry, Jess. Jen Muir came in. Damian Lee, boy, always Don Dodson, and the girls. Let's see, anybody else? Silverado Kev, that's right. Silverado Kev showed up. Bay Area baller. Who else? Brandon Ferrigno. Oh man, I miss Brandon Ferrigno. East Coast Red and Gold podcast. There we go. And I think that's everybody. Want to thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and go and do that. Waruna, what do you got?
Yep. Thank you everyone for joining. So have a wonderful night.
And we out. Peace.